Hey guys, EUPHORIA. So today we're going to be going over the portfolio for the week. Apologies for the later video today. Had a little road trip. So basically, we can see here that the technology sector is obviously doing very strong this last week. And honestly, that's the highlight of most sectors. You can see a lot of sectors such as energies, utilities, a lot of financials are kind of all over the place. But I would say if you look at it's a little bit red and a little gray, which means we're either neutral um, or we are red. So honestly, not amazing. We can take a look at SPY here in a second, but let's hop over to our tracker tool. So you can see here for our total, we actually made 0.85, which sorry, that was for a Friday. If we compare that on the 7-day, we went up 1.34% or $814. Compare that to SPY of 2.37%, which was a lot, and QQQ was actually 5.5%. It's pretty crazy. Unfortunately, we didn't do too hot compared, but that is what it is. We are continuing to be in UVXY, or well, the UVXY signal, which on our holding is currently VXX, which is what's kind of punishing us the most, because the market still continues to rally despite QQQ being around, I think, 86 RSI on the 10-day. It's almost 87 actually, which is very much overbought. If we take a look at futures real quick, we will, let me actually do this real quick. We will see here how futures are looking. So you can see right here, VIX is currently pretty much even. NASDAQ is also pretty much even. Oil is jumping back up and Bitcoin is down. So we will see if this continues to the trend continues. Honestly, you can see how it's been like just the last week here. Not amazing, but we are very much in the overbought territory. You can see this blue is when we are there. And I want to see if I can pull up a thing real quick, which I actually created using Testfolio. Just a second here. So this is basically the one I was talking about. So if you take here on Testfolio and you go QQQ overbought, which is basically just when the QQQ is 10-day. And for the practices of this last week, it's been sitting around this level for quite a bit. So if we actually head over here and add RSI here as a separate thing and then change it to 10-day, you can see here how much it's been over that, and we can actually change this as well by doing, let's say, the upper around above 84. So it was there a few times on, I think, Wednesday briefly, and then going into Thursday and Friday basically. But if we take a look back on Testfolio and go here with UVX Y and then Bill, it's very easy to see these jumps up. So we take these two out here. This white line is kind of what I was talking about. Every time it's blue here is actually the same as when it was blue here. And you can see most of the time it does jump up quite a bit here. Like there's a couple times though where it doesn't. And I will say, if I zoom in here, you can see how long this actually lasted. It was about 2 weeks. And that was like one of the longest periods since, 2012. Like this was another period here. But both of these times, they've done pretty well. This time was around, let's see, the 30th or like the 1st to the 7th. So that was about a week. But we are currently sitting pretty high. If I go to QQQ here, this is like the 4th day in a row, I want to say. So we are getting higher there. So it might not pay off yet, but I believe one of these, if you go to trading stats, and then we can filter actually by when it was holding UVXY. This is actually not based on what it's holding, but it's based on the name here. I just happen to call it the same, and we can then go and do like this, the end day, let's say. And so you can see here how that's performed recently. Something worth noting, before, I believe before 2018, UVXY was actually slightly higher. So some of these returns, such as like this 33% return, are probably out of reach here, but something like this is very much in reach, right? And this only lasted 2 days, whereas we're actually have been above this for since the 6th, I believe. So, but since then, it's been negative, but you can see almost always over positive here on the return. So we'll see if it ends positive. I honestly would be surprised if it didn't, but at the same time, we're not really losing capital. It's just more of hedging our bets kind of thing. That's the whole reason this logic is in that branch. So yeah. But we're continuing to hold through. So that's it at the end of the day. But going into M1 Finance, if we take a look here on the sector performance. So the highest sector there was semiconductors, up 14%. AMD just went into the atmosphere. Like, it's insane. Up 26% for the week. NVIDIA actually up 8% for the week, which is pretty impressive as well. But AMD is shining there, and I'll show that a little bit later when we look at the holdings tab. We have technology sitting around here. The biggest gainer there was Apple. And then we had industrials. The biggest gainer there was from RTX, which had a couple rough weeks last. So, and I imagine based on the oil futures, they could do well tomorrow, but we'll see. On the bad side of things, or realty income, it looks. I think they had pretty poor earnings, unfortunately, and AMT continues to go down as well. We have healthcare. The biggest loser there was AbbVie, unfortunately. And then on consumer staple side, biggest loser there was from PepsiCo. So going into the activities tab, we can see here since the last video, we did actually have 2 dividends here from MasterCard and from Deere Company. So we had 191 and 280. So not too bad. On holdings, the part I've been waiting to show you, you can see here AMD is up 250% in our account since inception, which is insane. Honestly, no clue if this can continue, nor do I really want to test my luck. Like I said in the last couple weeks, my plan is to settle out of M1 Finance completely for all of the green positions around the 19th, or probably on the 20th, for example. So that will be next week on the 20th. We'll see, or at least at the end of next week or something, because that's when the long-term capital gains for a good chunk of some of these. So, hopefully gonna lock in that for the first time, which is nice. And then move all of them over to Composer into our more aggressive strategies. I say more aggressive, but actually, funny enough, they're probably less aggressive than this is. Maybe not in volatility, but max drawdown, yeah. And yeah, so you can see here, Google also doing insane, AVGO and NVIDIA as well. On the opposite side of things here, we have some poor performers, obviously. We have HD, Home Depot. We have AMT and MasterCard, all below 10%. Microsoft, which is just kind of saying the same, and same with Procter & Gamble and Visa. Vertex, just on the border there. And AbbVie, unfortunately, is starting to decline. It was actually up quite a bit, and it's been slowly declining and declining and declining. But we are actually still positive there, so that's nice. But yeah, I mean, to think that basically from AMD we have a cost base of $8,706, and our current value is $3,000. It's kind of crazy to me. So last but not least, on the Webull side of things, so MSTZ, we had another pretty poor week. If we go back to Lotus Tracker here and go to Webull, 12% down for this week. Really sucks. You can see we're down 65% on the 90-day. But again, this is such a small position that at this rate, I really don't even mind selling it. or I don't really want to sell it, actually, is what I meant. Because, in the off chance that something comes out on MSTZ news or MSTR news and it causes MSTZ to go up, that would be really good for us. And it's only, a couple $100 at this point, so although, we are losing opportunity cost on this $200, let's say, but it's not much if we were to throw that in Composer. So anyway, 7% down on Monday, almost 3% down on Tuesday, just about 0.5% down on Wednesday, up 7.5% on Thursday, and Friday was down 8.5%. So overall, though, for the week, I am happy that we're positive. We're still up 1.34%. We can't win every week. 30-day, we're still quite above SPY. We actually are lower on the 30-day, actually lower on QQQ for like a lot of these, to be honest. Unfortunately, for the last year, you can see here, but I'm on mostly focused on 90, at least for now, because we've done so many different things with the portfolio, and you can kind of see how that looks here. If we take out something like Webull, it's probably going to be easier to see. So yeah, top line is Composer. This like more whitish one. The gold line is our total portfolio. I might change the colors here so it's actually just a little bit easier to actually see. But, it is what it is. I think we're going to have a decent week next week. You can see here how we've been doing. If I go back to SPY, for example, for the month of April, we actually ended at 13.3%. For the year to date, we're actually up 15.61% compared to SPY, which is at 8.47. If we go back to QQQ here, we can see here that QQQ is actually barely beating us for the year, but it is what it is. I'm not expected to beat QQQ every single year. It's actually had a pretty good year this year, anyways, or like the last year. So we'll see how that continues. But yeah, overall, pretty happy with the portfolio. The number keeps going up. We're at 30.7% to our 200K target. Yeah, eventually we'll get that up. We'll bump up the target as we get closer. I do think we can potentially make 200K in investments by the end of this year, which I know sounds crazy, but again, I put like $3,500 ideally in every month. So yeah, but anyways, guys, that is it for me. And as always, I wish you guys a well to future.